Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Bamboo plants can grow up to 36 inches in a day. So if you're told you're growing like a weed, you can say, "No, I'm growing like a bamboo." Here's Mike Winters.
Try it. They'll stare at you weird. But anyway, it is 23 minutes after 8 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning, Superintendent for the Roswell Independent School District, Brian Luck, back with us. Morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Doing well.
Good deal.
Good Wednesday here.
Good deal. Yeah, it's weather. Can't complain today. Yesterday you could, but not today. So
Wouldn't do you any good.
Well, things are going. Things are happening. I know I think flexibility is something that we all had to learn here in the last 2 years. But, I mean, we still got some of that going on. I know sports-wise, schedules and things, and trying to flex and move and get everything played and make sure everything's covered. It's getting a little tricky. Hence the reason your Goddard Rocket football team will be playing football tomorrow night instead of Friday night.
That's right.
Which, by the way, we'll have here. It'll be on our sister station, 106.1 Fiero. And then, of course, you can watch the game. Gene Dow and Tanner, I believe, are going to head to Alamogordo to get that on the video for us.
That's awesome. We should appreciate it. I know I've given Gene a hard time multiple times. I said, I think you're helping me learn another language here because I tune into the broadcast and it might be a little bit late or something like that, and I always give him a hard time about it.
Yeah, but so folks, we'll have it for you. So if you're tuning in Friday for football, you're going to be a day late, at least for Goddard.
Oh yeah,
Roz will be going and all that. But
and that's a home game, and that's a big one. That's we need everybody to get out for that one. That's Artesia here in town on Friday night.
It's a big district game. Yeah, they're all entering district play now.
Yes,
so
sir.
The games get start. Not that they never count, but they really count when they hit district.
Yes, sir.
So get out there and root on our local teams and cheer them on. Matter of fact, I think Roswell, they play all the rest of their games in the Wool Bowl this year, if I remember right. Because the Goddard game is a Goddard home game,
right.
But it's the Wool Bowl. So technically they're on the road against Goddard, but they play all their games in the Wool Bowl for the rest of the season.
I believe you're right.
Coyote fans, you don't have to travel far for the rest of – well, you don't have to travel far anyway. You can just tune in the radio. But if you can get out to the stadiums, especially those road games, and get it, it's always nice to see you, especially when they go to towns that have a big visitor side. You know what I mean? They have like Artesia's one, Carlsbad, and it looks really good when there's a sea of blue or a sea of red sitting on that other side over there.
A lot of the places we go to, it's kind of a traditional thing for the opposing team to have a large contingent of people over there with you, which always makes it so much fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah. So it's really nice whenever you can show up with a good group of your folks and kind of help the kids out.
Absolutely, especially since they're district games now.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to Artesia, Alamogordo in some of these cases. And by the way, if you do travel to Alamogordo and you're a burger fan, I recommend the Rocket Burger place. It's up by the mall there.
Okay.
Be warned. I made this mistake. I over green chilied. I know that's hard to do, but what they do is they infuse the green chili in the burger meat while they're mixing it,
okay.
And then they cook it, and then they put green chili on it. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I went and ordered green chili cheese fries. And by the time I walked out of there, my mouth was just in flames. It was delicious, but I was crying when I left that place. But if you want a good burger, Rocket Burger, recommend it. They're in Alamogordo.
All right. I'll put that in my list.
All right. So I'm sure you didn't want to talk about burgers the whole time.
That's all right.
We could. But last night, the school board did meet. As far as the agenda, was it pretty full one, pretty light, pretty somewhere in between?
You know what? It was kind of nice. It was just business.
Okay.
We didn't have really anything that was
Housekeeping mostly
major
type
pressing.
stuff?
Just some regular housekeeping business. Got some recognitions taken care of. Received our food services received an award for local food and buying local, and we're going to have some more about that whenever we get the official press release from the state. But it's sure nice to walk into our cafeterias and see local grown produce and fresh fruit and working with the folks out at Graves and other local vendors. It's really nice, and it tastes so good. I remember being in the schools and just kind of hating the time whenever the frost comes in and we don't have that anymore. So got those honored. Had an approval for a dance team trip, hopefully coming up here.
Just for Charlie's Angels?
Charlie's Angels up, hopefully.
They do a lot of traveling because they got a lot of recognition nationally.
They do, and they've got a lot of work to do, and to be able to start that fundraising, we have to get the approval.
That's the problem with being good. You're always gotta keep getting better to stay on top, and everyone's gunning for you.
Yes,
sir. They've set the standard. And now we're keeping that tradition going.
And
so it's great to see that they're going and doing it.
Miss Castro does a great job with that, and she's getting to be an old pro at getting them down there to Florida and knowing what they're doing. And
sure.
It sure is nice. I mean, they came in, they had all their stuff in line, and went ahead and got the approval. We did have to kind of hit the with a special note that we'll have to follow all of whatever guidelines we've got to follow. And
the COVID caveat.
But if we'll abide by whatever rules we need to abide by, and they're willing to be flexible.
Sure.
Again, there's that word again.
And
so.
I mean, not to get political, but based on going to Florida, I think their rules are probably not less stringent than what they are here, is what I'm thinking. So,
well, and the one thing that we don't have an answer back on yet is as we do that type of travel, do we have to adhere to the rules of the state we're going to, or do we still have to abide by
New
rules?
Mexico?
Yeah, and the
I know the answer going to tell you, but I know the answer that it should be.
Well, I have no comment there. The big one for us is, and it's something that has come up across the state, which is our guidelines right now on spending the night. And so that's something that our district has had to look at. I know Coach Cooper with the athletic department he's pulling his hair out trying to get our kids to tournaments, and in the fall it's not
a logistic nightmare.
It
even
is.
in a normal world.
Well,
and then add COVID, it's 10 times.
No,
10.
absolutely, and the limits. If you're not vaccinated, you're going to be in a room by yourself, and that's tough. So, like I said, Coach Castro and her group pulled them aside and kind of talked to them a little bit, and they said that's not a problem.
Gotcha.
And I said, well, that's good. So.
Good.
But just a lot of regular business type stuff.
Good. Well, and that's how things get done. We work, we talk, we figure it out. That's how things get done. And sometimes you gotta put your head down and work, and kind of not tune into the distractions that can happen from time to time there. So, good deal. Kind of getting back to the food thing real quick. Do you guys envision because obviously there are so many mouths to feed in the Roswell Independent School District on a given day, it would be next to impossible to do that with all local grown.
Right.
I mean, that's sure be nice. But I mean, do you see a trend where we're in the future, and say 20 years down the road, where that percentage is closer to 50-50 maybe, or much higher than what it is today? I mean, do you think that we're going in that direction? Wouldn't
that be nice?
Yeah.
I know it was the whole food services industry for the school district.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has been something that if we could not shed enough light on that, if we tried right now with everything that we've gone through with COVID. I mean, from the get-go, we've been doing grab-and-go lunches.
Sure.
It amazes me how many meals the cafeteria at Goddard and the cafeteria at Roswell High, and then you've got a couple standalones that produce their own food, but just the volume of food that is served, and then you get a break in time where you're having to provide meals, multiple sets of meals that go out to those families on a one-time basis, and they pick up 4 or 5 days worth of food, and it is mind-blowing. And I said, it's something.
We have amazing people in the school district, all school districts really, and we talk about the teachers and the administration, and yes, they do amazing things for our kids and things, but kind of the unsung heroes
You're right.
are that food service department, because every single day, pardon the pun, they're making lemonades out of lemon, and literally and figuratively here, but
you're right,
and sometimes it's not the fault of anybody. It's just the nature of the land we live in right now. Problems arise, and they need to be addressed. And those folks don't get the option of, well, we just can't do that. We got to do something. And so they've been, for this even before COVID, they do the amazing things.
Right.
But during this COVID, they've really put on capes and been heroes to making sure everybody that needs food gets food.
Well, and it's not funny, but sometimes it is a little funny. I mean, problems don't just occur between regular times of the day. Like
Sure.
8 and 3, the problem, okay, it's after 3, no more problems will occur. And there's been multiple times that it's been 4 o'clock, 4:30, and we've had to call food services and say, well, we just totally turned your world upside down. And good luck figuring out how to make it work, and we'll see everybody in the morning.
And then they pull it off.
Oh man, they're always there, and they've never let us down. That's just a solid thing you can depend on.
Absolutely.
And as far as your question about the local,
Yeah.
It would be really nice.
Yeah.
I know we try as much as possible.
Sure.
And then you're at the mercy of
Supply lines
supply
and
line,
everything else, yeah.
and two, it's really nice. As far as being able to walk in and the kids walk up and they're just like, man, this is really good.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's local, and you probably could go out and buy some more of those, and we encourage you to do that.
Sure.
Because they helped us out.
I'm just wondering if this is like that lesson learned from COVID that we take out of this and we say, we had to get creative with where food came from, using more local resources to do that. That's a good idea. Maybe we can incorporate some of this in the regular work when we're not worrying about COVID anymore. And I just think that, this is one of those things that we've learned that, hey, maybe this is an opportunity.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
I know the teachers, it's fall time of the year. It's, early to mid fall, and you look forward to. And that's the thing that I'm looking for is, well, where is that? And we come to expect, and then, from coming to expect, you try to figure out ways to make everything work after that.
Well, and I think it's so important, when we talk about, education and everything, and I think even more so for kids today than even our generations and generations before us, because technology is so much more advanced today than it was when we were kids, and certainly when our parents were kids. But we grew up knowing, hey, you want a carrot, you better grow it, or you want some beef, you better, you know what I mean? Whereas today the concepts of kids is like, you go to the refrigerator to get food, and so you really need to educate kids in the classroom. It's like, no, this is where food comes from, but here's the differences between some processed food and what's natural food, and why this is a healthier option, and why you can do this. Finding that balance between convenience and nutrition, and understanding how come that carrot that there is different than this carrot, and why they're not the same carrot, and all that, and to understand all that, and I think introducing growing foods and where food comes from in the classroom will put that education in, so they don't make hopefully as adults they make smarter choices on what they put in their bodies and things.
Well, where do they grow the 2-inch carrots that you get in the bag?
Yeah.
I mean, what
exactly.
What farm does
Where's
that
those
come?
baby round ones
Yeah,
come from?
what farm does that come from? And one of the neat things is we've got several agencies in our community, and I know with the fair just wrapping up, we had some of our pre-K kids go out there, and they got little demonstrations and the gosh, I'm going to mess it up. I know the home economics people, and they put on the deals and show the kids, and it's like you said, it's interesting. It's a different time.
Yeah.
Meat comes from somewhere, not just the fridge. And we had a really neat picture of a visually impaired student that had never seen a cow, and actually we've got a photo of him with his arms up around.
Touching and petting
touching
the
it,
cow.
and just the expression on his face is really neat. You're just like, well, you forget about that.
Sure.
You just assume that everybody has the same sets of thoughts, and
absolutely.
And as it's easy to do.
And as adults, we forget it even more. I mean, and that's, you forget if you've never been exposed to something, then how are you supposed to know what it is? Mm-hmm. And just because it's common knowledge to a lot of people doesn't mean it's common knowledge to everyone. Mm-hmm. And as you get older, you learn that, and that's parents get it more than non-parents, I think, because as you're raising kids, you get these little reminders all the time. But people without kids, maybe they learn it differently.
Well, and that's interesting that you say that, because you just like teed that one up for me so well, because one of the things that we are still working with is, and I hate to keep going back to COVID, but COVID just did a massive reset.
Sure.
As far as having to adjust of a traditional mindset of the way things we can do in school and the way things are going to be now. And it has done that even here in town with our community as well. Things they're just different.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it different. And, the things that we can get back to that were proven and worked, we get back to those.
Absolutely.
And then, just to again, that flexibility word, but it's changed a lot.
Absolutely. And this is, and if I say anything out of place, please step in here. But I really want to stress this, and I've said it before, but I want to say it again. When it comes to education, our kids right now more than ever, this should be all the time, but now more than ever, the school districts, and this is just RISD, this is across the board. School districts, it's the COVID world, like everything else. They're stressed to the points of, people are at maximum capacity doing what they can do. They're short-staffed across the board like they were everywhere else. But basically the RISD and school districts across the country are doing as much as they can with as little as possible. So why I'm saying this is that because patience and things like that tend to get lowered in these situations. Things that may have happened quicker a couple of years ago, it's taken a little longer now because of personnel, because of the logistics, just what it is. Now more than ever, parents need to be as active as possible in the role of your education. That you got to work in concert with your teachers and staff, not against them. I feel we almost get like we all have a mindset of everybody. I get you want to look out for your own. That's something we all do. But we got to remember, we're all trying to do the same thing here. Instead of button heads, let's come together and say, look, these are the variables. What can we do together as our team at the school and in your team in the house to get us on the same page? And so when you're having your parent-teacher conferences, I know you just had a round here. You got more coming, I'm sure. Let's go in with those mindsets because we're all we all want success for everybody. We all want the great results that comes from this. And the only way we're going to achieve that is if the parents, teachers, everybody are on the same page with your children. And let's next time you come guns blazing, think there a little bit like let's understand everything, and then let's try to solve the problem rather than just guns blazing from your perspective.
Ted, there's a local business, and I won't mention which one, but if you've been by it, you've seen this sign on their window. Basically, it says, be kind to the people that showed up to work today. At least they showed up.
Exactly.
And that goes both ways.
Yes.
As far as coming in to visit with a teacher.
Yes.
That's your child's teacher, and that's they're doing the best they can.
Sure.
And
they're going to treat you with respect.
Right.
Please,
and then flip the script from the teacher side of it. This is the parent that wants to come in and get involved. Mm-hmm. And it's there's not.
That's not always the case.
It's not always the case,
yeah.
and that's a tough one.
Yeah.
And again, it's just the more I've thought about it, that's just really good advice right now.
Yeah.
As far as being out and working with anybody. I mean, if you've got somebody that's doing their thing and you're doing your thing, everybody's trying to go the same direction.
Sure.
And trying to make it the best they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's one of those things that we're in a bad situation. It is a world right now. We're dealing with the pandemic, and I know we'll have political thoughts one way or another. That's not the point here today. The point is the job is still at hand. We've got kids that are growing, that are going to be adults, and it doesn't matter if there's a pandemic, they're still going to grow. They're still going to become adults, and we've got to educate them. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. We got to get them prepared for when they're an adults. And anything that impedes that is something we need to avoid.
Well, and if you think about it, we've taken, give or take, roughly 2 years off.
Yeah,
I mean, we did the best we could last year, but we finished, the year before that at about a half pace, and so it's just going to be different. But I do know this as far as our community and listening to other districts talk about some of the responses that they're getting, our community is really, they've dug in on this, and I mean. We're going to look up here in another couple of weeks. It's going to be November.
Yeah.
And we've been in school since August.
Yeah.
We've had roughly 3 major shutdowns. And the reason we did those 3 shutdowns were because of at the time that was the current guidelines.
Sure. You try to nip it in the bud to be avoided from being shut down.
Those guidelines have changed, and since then, I mean, we've had pockets, and I won't hide from that. We've had pockets of kids that it seemed to affect the same particular sets of groups, and we've had kids that have been home 20 days and some that have been home more than that because of exposure.
Sure.
However, as a whole, we've been going to school since August.
Yeah.
And, our teachers are getting into a stride and a groove, and that creates another issue where you're just like, we're back in school, and these are our expectations. And again, our parents, again, just kudos to them. They've bought in,
Absolutely.
They want the kids in school, and we want them there too.
Absolutely.
So
they really want them.
Oh,
in
yeah.
school. Well, this is being a wife. My wife being a teacher.
All right.
She's listening, and she gave me a question.
I'm in. Let's go.
She says, ask about the ELA adoption. Now you're gonna have to give me. I don't know what ELA is, so you're gonna have to tell me what that is first, and then what the adoption part is about.
So we adopted a new reading language arts curriculum.
Okay.
Textbook last night. So
Okay.
we didn't get a new curriculum with it. Our primary, the standards are still the same, but
Gotcha.
we adopted new books.
Gotcha.
And it's been 10 years. And our teachers, God bless them, they have been piecemealing, and they're in
building their own programs.
They've been building their we had
there is guidelines, but
Yes.
in essence, the resources and things are
Right.
kind of on their own to get there.
right, and oh, by the way, in the middle of that, let's throw in Common Core about 6-7 years ago. So they have had to do the lion's share of the work,
Gotcha.
and we took the time started before I got there. In the spring of last year, with a committee that came in, did a lot of vetting, looked through a lot of textbooks, and then picked the one that they picked. We went before the board a few months ago, and there were some concerns that the state had not released their approved books.
Okay,
At
which
that,
put everything else
and
behind,
yeah,
right?
And if the book had to be on the list,
Got it.
and so there was a little bit of concern about that, and then some time for some professional development. So we backed off, waited until the list came out, and then gave it give or take about a month or so. But by doing what we're doing now, we have the ability to go ahead and order.
Gotcha.
And we'll start receiving materials and start rolling that out to our teachers so that they can prepare with full implementation. Hopefully for the next school year, and get some continuity amongst the grades, so that if you go, if you're at this school for 6 months and then something happens and you move across town, or
You're in the same spot.
to the next school district or to the next school zone, you're gonna be with the same book. It's the same grade, and like you said, give or take,
Yeah.
the same spot.
Oh, and to peel back the curtain a little bit, and I have a little bit of because my wife was being a second grade teacher, she was actually in part of the groups that were going to pick from a group of different programs and choose the one that they like. So she was kind of involved with that process and seeing and from the and just to give perspective to everyone else out there, it is a pretty painstaking process that they go through to decide what is the right books and curriculum for the classroom. They have teachers, it's a slew of people from different backgrounds looking at this thing, and it's put it this way, it's quite a bit of scrutiny, quite a bit there. But so when that book's going, it's not a decision done lightly. I can tell you this because you get opinions of teachers, and they talk about the positives of negatives, and from everything to the content of what's in there and what they're teaching to how they're presenting and teaching it. What kind of examples do they use, and are those appropriate examples? I mean, they get into the weeds. I'm telling you on looking for the right one.
Oh, I know. No, believe me. And this one was this one was no different. But you, like I said, we're going back 10 years, and if you think of just even anything that's changed in the last 10 years, there's been some new thought going into some. It's funny. Learning to read is not just learning to read.
Sure.
I mean, people are working on different ways to help that. And as a group, there were many different opinions, and it's if we had this book before, or we really want this one, or we really like that one, and then again, I think our group did a really good job vetting the choices.
My wife responded. Her answer, yay.
Okay, well. I'm starting a list actually, so I'll put that down.
So yay is good.
Okay, that would be 2. So no, and like I said, it's one of those deals. And as a teacher, I can remember when they came in and said, okay, do you want to be part of the process? Yes. So you go be part of the process, and maybe you had your hopes on something else, and then you have to reset and readjust, and you combine that with everything that you've been doing in the last 2 years, and it has the potential to be a little bit more stressful than maybe a regular year. But again, my hope is that our continuity that we can provide across the board would be something that really just seals the deal for this.
Sure. So just out of curiosity, this will implement for the next school year.
Yes, sir.
What is there like a contract you guys are committed for 3 years, 5 years, or X amount of time with this, or is it just as long as you want to?
Well, no, the adoption process. We even debated that last night at the board. I mean, I remember from years in the past, once every 6 years. I heard once every 7 years. I think the big one for us is that we just can't go once every 10 years again. I mean
that's too much.
Well, and again, we're back to COVID again. That put things on hold.
Sure.
And as you put the ELA on hold, then you're going to put the social studies and the math and the science and all of those get shuffled back. And and you start looking at things, that's a lot that's happened.
Yeah.
And even if you take an 8-year process, every 8 years you get a new book.
Sure.
I mean, those last chapters have a lot.
And then education evolves quickly. I mean, you. Obviously, you think math, science. Obviously, you look at those worlds. You buy a computer, 6 months later, it's obsolete. So that what they're learning and stuff's changing. But even in the parts that I think are less obvious, your English and the ones that you think, well, it should be the same now as it wasn't. No, it's evolving on how you teach it, how they present it, how better ways to get younger people to understand it.
Right.
And it's constantly evolving and things. And that's why you hear things like, well, how they taught me to write in first grade or whenever is way different than how they teach you to write now. It's evolved because life's evolved, society's evolved, and we have to keep up with that.
Well, and again, that's an every year deal, and that just went on steroids with what we've been through in the last 2 years.
Sure.
But like I said, our hope is that the professional development that comes with it, and then the time that they're going to have to get everything up and running, really does give them the best chance for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw the time. We probably should be wrapping this up here. Is there any information, anything that we wanted to make sure that we got out there that we just got sidetracked on?
No, you know what? The only other thing that we really hit last night that is super big is we had a groundbreaking over at Mesa.
Awesome.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
Man, it was neat to see, and the kids came out, and Mr. Franco over there, the principal, had the band, and it is long overdue.
Yeah.
My goodness. And what a facility they're fixing to have.
I love this because, I moved here. I met my wife. So about 2000s when I came to Roswell, New Mexico and called it home here. And I still think we were still in the very much, in the latter stages of a retirement community. We probably have more senior citizens than we had younger people in this community. And we've shifted greatly over that. But what I'm saying is, because of that, schools there for a while, the buildings and things, they didn't get a chance to get, they were in pretty need of repair, big time, almost all of them when I first got here. And you look here 20 years later, and we got the brand new schools and and schools that are technically still the same school, but they aren't the same school.
Right.
Right. I mean, just like my wife's school, Berendo. Mm-hmm. It looks nothing like it did when she started there 20 plus years ago.
Well, and it's accredited to some factors. I mean, the Public School Finance Authority, where they pick up 70% of these construction costs. Mm-hmm. Our taxpayers, our oil and gas. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah.
For the work that they do. Our locals and our retirees that say, you know what, I may not have a dog in this fight.
Yeah.
But I still want to support. And then
It's our community, and
yeah, and then the big one that really drove this is Mike Gottlieb, and this was Mike's vision going forward, and
Yeah.
we've got 3 more to go after
Yeah.
this one. So
Yeah.
I know he was out there with us the other day, and man, he just is as energetic about it as always. And
of course, you get 3 done, and there'll be time to start over again. And
absolutely, absolutely, that's the plan.
You can take a note from the city and county road crews. They that ideology is their whole mindset. They get all the roads fixed, and they start over at the beginning and go back and do them over again.
Job security.
Absolutely. Well, sir, as always, appreciate
Yes,
the
sir.
visit,
Thank you.
and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
If we need to come by sooner or anything, no problem. Give me
Yes, sir.
a holler. We'll make it happen.
Yes, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Don't work too hard here. We'll
No,
see you
sir.
next time. All right.